This is MFG Out Loud. Courageous conversations about sales and marketing for today's manufacturers. With your hosts, Ray Zaganto and Allison DeFore.
Hey, Trailblazers, welcome to this latest episode of MFG Out Loud. This will be episode 3756, or somewhere in the low 30s probably, but boy, we got an awesome guest today. Allison and I are thrilled to welcome Tom Hilaris, who is the president and CEO of Ergoseal. And let me start off and give you a little bit of background about Ergoseal. Ergoseal is a premier designer, manufacturer, and distributor for optimized, cost-effective sealing solutions for rotating equipment, okay? From aerospace to industrial to sanitary industries, they specialize in mechanical, non-contacting lip and magnetic seals for rotating equipment, provide custom and commercial seals, while also providing value-add pump components that are manufactured from ceramics, molded rubber, thermoplastic polymers. This is a pretty cool, very technical type of business. And look forward to hearing from Tom about that. And let me give you a little bit of background on Tom, just to clue everybody in. Tom has been involved in this business since he was 10 years old. And he's not that old now, but he's been at it for a long time. Yeah, he's 12 now. Took over as president at 11. No, he's been president and CEO since 2014. And since that time, he has stepped on the gas. And here's what happened. Some of the things Tom and his team have accomplished since 2014 include he's acquired 2 companies to expand their capabilities and product offerings, basically doubling the size of the company. Fun fact, he closed on both new businesses 2 weeks apart. He's diversified and expanded their customer base with customer base and supply chain globally. And most recently, Ergoseal was named one of the best and brightest companies to work for in Chicago by the National Association for Business Resources. And that is really just part of the story. So there is so much to talk about today. Tom, we are so glad to have you with us here today.
Well, thank you for having me, Ray and Allison. I really appreciate it.
We're excited that you're here, and we are ready for another courageous conversation. And so let's dive right in, because there's a lot to unpack here that will help our listeners grow their business by leaps and bounds. So, you know, when business leadership transitions to the next generation, which many of our listeners have experienced or are about to experience, the typical approach is evolution. And what you've done seems more like revolution. And so I'm curious to know, was it difficult to get buy-in when you took over?
Oh yeah, it's always difficult to get buy-in when you're moving from your father who started it, the founder, and very well respected in the industry. He's been in it for a long time. So yeah, there's always that issue of buy-in, but you have to overcome it. You change your management style. You're different, than your predecessor. In this case, my dad, right? So it was a learning lesson for sure. And I got into it very early because I really took over as GM in about 2010 at that point. So you talk about the revolution and the acquisitions in 2014, but it was really a period of 4 years until then. We were trying to evolve slowly, and it was really, really difficult to do in our industry. So we knew we had to make acquisitions to grow the business.
Did you get any pushback from, employees and other people who were like, nepotism and all of that, and here's this, young kid, what does he know? Was there any of that, or?
Oh yeah.
How did you overcome it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, yeah, absolutely there was. For me personally, I had confidence in what I was doing. I worked my way up in the business, so I wasn't just thrown into it. So I worked in assembly at first. I ran machines and operators, a button pusher. Let's get that right. I know a lot of machinists will take offense to, I was definitely not a machinist. I was an operator. In my high school years, I did some quality. I did the bookkeeping, customer service. So I really did work my way up and learn the business. from the ground up. So I think that really helped. Yeah, there was some turnover at the beginning when I took over, but that's, that happens in small business. For me personally, I knew I needed to get better. So I went and got my MBA right away to learn more about the business world. I really want to specialize in finance and accounting, which I was able to do. That gave me more, I felt better about myself and more confident in my capabilities to run the business.
Nice.
That's cool. Go ahead, Alice. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead. You're up.
One of the things that occurred to me, there's an old proverb. It says even a small bird has all the same parts. And it occurred to me, some of the moves that you've made, from your perspective, does the size of Ergoseal, now you're not thousands of employees and hundreds of locations, that type of thing. Does your size give you an advantage in terms of agility and being able to do things that perhaps a much larger organization might struggle with? What's your perspective on that, and how do you leverage that? Because you certainly seem to be doing a good job with it.
Yeah, no, thanks. That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, we always try to take advantage of everything that we're different from, the 1,000 people, 2,500 people, global businesses out there, but the corporations, we're agile. That's what we really pride ourselves on. We're small, we're agile, but we still take all our processes seriously. We're aerospace certified. We did that about 4 years ago. We're very proud of, and we're continuously improving processes. So although we're agile, we maintain that, that real focus on quality and process internally to always serve our customers. So I think that's really critical. But for us, I mean, again, we're agile. We're the decision makers are, myself and my sister who joined us 3 years ago. She's actually our general manager.
Oh, nice.
So yeah. So it's a family business. She came from the education world, but so it really helped with the leadership, and you trust your leadership team to make good decisions. So down the line, we can't, if we're smaller, we're agile. You have to trust your team to make the right decisions and give you information to make better decisions as a leader.
Well, and as Ray mentioned, you're small but mighty, and you have a remarkable global reach for the size that you are. And did you do that on your own, or did you have some help with that?
It was, that's a good question. It was, first we had help, right? Because we have a product, and each product that was needed by companies all over the world, right? So that helped us about 25 years ago, start selling internationally, exporting into some lower cost countries, believe it or not. So we were competing at that local level, and although we're more expensive, our technical know-how and our quality really helped us get that business and earn that business and maintain that business over the years. But for us, and then to grow it, so we found a niche. We're doing exports. We said, how can we do more exports? We know we can be competitive in a lot of different countries. And so we started looking at what programs are out there to help small businesses. So the state of Illinois has programs. I think a lot of other states have really good programs out there. There's like a program we did last year called Export Tech.
Oh.
So yeah, there's a lot of funding out there to help small business export. And there's even financial incentives if you're doing a lot of exports called IC Disc. We haven't implemented that quite yet, but that's only because I think the recent tax changes didn't make it as advantageous. But there are avenues to grow your business, to learn, to get marketing reports of other countries, doing a lot of research in that regard that small businesses like us don't have the resources internally to do.
It's great that I've always admired that you've been very proactive about engaging with whether it's organizations like TMA, Technology Manufacturing Association, or the state and federal government programs, or like IMEC. You bring up an excellent point. There are so many excellent resources out there, but it's kind of like, that old saying, it's like, if you don't wait for your ship to come in, swim out and meet it, and it's, you're kind of living proof that not only is that possible, but it seems to be serving your business very well.
Yeah, you have to look. You have to constantly look out there and see what's going on. You have to talk to people. You have to network. Hey, what are other people doing? What are your peers doing? And maybe you're not in the same industry, which will kind of help. You can share some more information that way if you're not competing against each other. But there are other small businesses that are exporting. So that's how I've learned. You talk to people and you ask the questions, and people are more than willing to help.
It's true, right? When you ask for help, you usually get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
And you want to give it back when somebody asks.
such great advice. Well, so I have I know Ray has a burning question, but I had just a quick question because we get a lot of, young people is a big focus, right? There aren't enough young people coming up into manufacturing. And I was curious, because you've been doing this since you were so young, what advice would you give to younger people, let's say like in high school, or maybe, maybe they're freshmen in college, whatever, or even younger, and they don't know really what they want to do with their life. They don't have any idea about manufacturing and how cool it is. I was just curious what advice you would give to, I guess, maybe companies to try to increase their exposure with the younger kids, and how could they make it more appealing to them?
Oh yeah, that is a difficult question. That I was on the board of the TMA, the Technology Manufacturing Association. That's something that's discussed all the time. I mean, the TMA, these associations are extremely active in the local high schools to get that interest from the high school kids and to show them that there's a real career path in manufacturing. Especially now in the U.S., what I see, it's higher skilled work. Even though you're manufacturing, you're machining, but the machine, you need more skill to be on these machines, to run these machines, and it's a great living. It's not easy. To be a machinist, it's a real skill, like anything else, and you'll be compensated for that in the long term to do that. But to gain that interest is extremely difficult. The parents have to believe in it.
Yeah.
So you have to talk to parents. Parents have to push their children in that direction as well. It's an artist. You're an artist. Once you're a machinist, it's a real skill, and I think they're artists, man. You see what they do out there on these machines, and it's unbelievable. And the math that you have to do to have high quality product consistently and run these machines, it's pretty impressive.
You deal with, and along those lines, I mean, you have a really demanding customer base. I mean, it's everything from aerospace, through more commercial type of applications. But I guess two-part question: do those demanding customers, do they make you better, or are they pain in the ass? Probably both.
No,
but,
I honestly. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, please.
I don't view anyone as a pain in the ass, honestly, because whenever somebody pushes you, you have to find the solution. Yeah. You have to satisfy the customer. There's many ways to do it. Maybe it's not exactly what they're asking for, but you can definitely expand the pie in these negotiations, and there's other opportunities. So they're going to push you, and they're only there to make you better anyway. So it's kind of funny that you brought that up, because when I knew we had to make changes in our organization, where we're doing a huge development project for a major OEM, and we developed an amazing product, really helped their warranty issues, really blew it out of the water the first time around in testing. But they sent their major quality engineer over to give us an audit. And we thought we were great, and they said, well, you need to improve here, you need more backup, more redundancy in engineering and here in quality. So I got that report, and I was like, you know what? They're right. So we started checking off our strategy, check mark by check mark every year, making improvements to be where we are today. So that's really kind of what drove me. It's those customers that are very demanding, that make you change for the better.
I love it. How was the follow-up? Did you go back to that customer and say, hey, you want to take another look? Or how did you feed that back to them?
Oh, I've tried. This is true. I've tried, but people change in these big corporations.
Yeah.
So the same people
Yeah.
aren't there 6 months from now. So that was the biggest issue with that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but what a great sales tool, though. It's a bit to, any customer or every customer for that matter. If you demonstrate you're listening, and you follow through to the best of your ability, what a great way to help grow the business. I'm assuming you're growing with that customer still?
No, that one is a certain departments or the industry, certain divisions of that corporation.
Okay.
Yeah, we are absolutely.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Oh,
And
that's
it's fun.
That's awesome.
You can show them, look where we were here 10 years ago and look where we are today.
Yeah.
And they could walk through our facility now, even though we're in the same building. We've expanded in the building. Everything's completely different. Brand new machinery, brand new inspection, redundancy in every, operation, every department. So it's fun to see the growth.
Oh yeah, and you and I have talked about this before. Sorry for hogging him, Allison, but I'm on a roll.
It's okay.
But you and I have talked before. You really take a proactive approach to kind of de-risking either Ergoseal, your own business, or taking steps that reduce risk or mitigate risk for your customers as well. And that's an interesting thing. I think that probably contributes to your growth. Can you talk about that a little bit for us? Some of the things that you do in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely. The story goes right back to that audit that we did from the customer audit. So they just said, you're smaller, great product, you're smaller, but it's a risk for us. How can we switch to this custom product away from one of the largest, seal manufacturers in the world? Right? And I said, yeah, okay, I get that. So how do we reduce that risk, and how do we turn that in, to an advantage for us? So part of that, we develop bigger base engineering, manufacturing partnerships. We've manufactured in-house, from 30 years ago. We pride ourselves in that. But how do we make other partnerships, even domestically here, locally, right? If there's an overflow capacity issue, if we get very busy, how do we do that in the short term? And is there somewhere else? Can we do some offshore manufacturing to do it, to help support the business? And it's in every direction we go. If we're leveraging some of our partners to do other components that we may not manufacture here, we're always dual sourcing in different countries. I always have a domestic source. That's number one. We always want a domestic source. We always try to support, U.S. manufacturing first and foremost. And then we're also trying to do because there's other issues here, right? You can have domestic issues locally. And so we're always trying to have other sources, whether it's other parts of Asia and Europe. So that's how we reduce the risk for a customer. We have redundancy in every area of the business.
That's awesome. So you show up, even if it's, through your partnerships and relationships, you've created a much stronger, actually much more reliable and organization while maintaining your agility.
Yeah, we try to.
Those costs aren't yours. Yeah, that's awesome.
That's the goal always. If there's a tornado that hits here, we're in the Midwest. It hasn't hit here in the suburbs, but lately. But if there's one that hits and something happens to the building, are you set up for a disaster plan? And we are, and it's because of partners here in the U.S. and also all over the world. So you have to be ready for that, because that is what the big guys have, those contingency plans. Right? They have facilities all over the world. So how are you going to do that? How are you going to partner to make sure there's continuity in your business?
Yeah. Oh, it's refreshing to hear. You're doing things that I think a lot of people perceive as being, those are only things that big companies do, and you're proving them wrong. Because you're doing it, and it's working.
We are, yeah. I think so far.
That's cool. That is cool. Allison, it's all yours.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. One last question, and we've got to wrap up here. Based on the awesome 2 questions that Ray just asked, this year I have been personally and professionally doing things that scare me. and I've talked about it a lot on LinkedIn and whatnot, especially with this redundancy and this preparation that you've done. And I'm assuming it was pre-COVID. So I guess I was, and you may not have something like right off the cuff for this, but wondering if there's something you've done this year that scared the shit out of you, did it and you grew anyway, like just anything along those lines that you would care to share.
Oh, I mean, it's funny with COVID, we're kind of diverse industry. So we have some aerospace. Okay, aerospace is really down. We all know that. But that's a small part of our business. I mean, we're heavy in industrial. We're heavy in the military and defense. So some of our products go into fracking. So that's dead. So it's kind of all over. You have one that's really busy. One industry that's keeping our manufacturing very busy. And other ones are, a lot, almost dead projects at this point, right? They're not gone. They're just slow. So some of it was the guys in the shop didn't have a lot of work, so we had them doing other projects, other helping in assembly, reorganizing. So that's scary because you never want to lay anybody off.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. I mean, we really focus on that. We want to be like a family here with everybody. We spend a lot of time together. It's really important to employ the people that we do and their families, so we take that to heart, and we take a lot of responsibility on that. So, but we got through it so far. So it's the hardest time so far. That really scared the shit out of me. I hate laying people off for that. So we didn't have to do it.
I love that.
That's awesome.
Well, gosh, I'm sad we have to end, but it's been such a pleasure to have you on. And I honestly think we could do a couple more episodes with you in the future if you're up for it.
I'd love to. Yeah. No, I really appreciate you guys having me. I hope I gave back to the listener something that they can, take away from this discussion.
Oh, I think. Oh, yeah. Don't you, Ray?
Oh yeah. No, you're absolutely right. We'll be back together again soon, I'm sure.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, hey, and just a side note to everybody who's listening, a lot of you listen to us regularly, but are not yet subscribed to MFG Out Loud. And you can do that. We really appreciate it if you would. And sharing is caring. So if you would pass this along and tell a friend, colleague, hey, you've got to tune into this podcast because it rocks. And if you do find value, if you would mind leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, that would be amazing. Not for our own ego, but because that tells other people that this is worth listening to. And so again, thank you so much, Tom. You were an amazing guest. I learned so much. And I will let Ray take us out. And yeah, I'm doing that little stall thing at the end where I train of thought. We're going to cut that out of the podcast.
No, leave it in. Leave it.
Ray, take us out, please.
But and on that smooth as silk transition, thank you again, everybody. We are so thrilled that you listened in with us and spent some time with us today. You matter to us. We're counting on you to hang with us, and we need you to keep manufacturing out loud because we need you. Thank you, everybody. Talk to you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to MFG Out Loud with Ray Zaganto and Allison DeFore. You can subscribe and find show notes at mfgoutloud.com.